Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 63 of the Town Social. After a nice little double over Barnsley, we were all keen to get back into things against Bristol Rovers, and hopefully we could continue the trend and our onward assault towards the top two. Thankfully, we had a nice, comfortable-ish, maybe, 3-1 win against Bristol. Certainly started out comfortable, not so sure about the finish, but anyway, we had decent goals from Pearson, from Marshall, and our mate Bojan even got on the score sheet in the second half. Talk about a Hollywood ending, eh? And speaking of Hollywood, we then went down to Wrexham with some of us optimistic, some of us not so. It was always going to be quite a difficult game, wasn't it, under the lights? Wrexham hadn't lost a game at home all season. In fact, they won every single one. But we put in a resolute defensive display and in the end came out with a well-deserved draw. Was it good enough or not? You guys will have to decide that. But Carmichael Dave was so happy that he said he was going to try and knock one out this afternoon. I think I don't blame you, mate. I think after, 7 points from the last 3 games, who can blame you? Give us a win against Exeter and I might do the same. So, my name's Nick Barlow. I'll be your host of this evening, and joining me tonight, as ever, is Gaz K, Ian Kilroy, and Andy K. Gentlemen, welcome, guys. Thank you very much for joining us. Carmichael Dave's already on it. He said, "Come on, guys, don't worry, mate. We're on now. Don't worry, we're fine. We're good to go." Let's get straight down to business, guys. Let's briefly talk about the Bristol game because I know that people want to talk more about the Wrexham game, but. Do you know what? Going into it after the Barnsley games, there's always a little bit of trepidation, isn't there? Because I still have flashbacks about that Northampton game. So I'm going into that game thinking this is a game really we need to go and win. And I thought the first sort of 15, 20 minutes we were sort of easing ourselves into the game. But then we had a really good 20-minute spell. And Gaz... Matty Pearson does what Matty Pearson does from the set piece. Is there again in it to score, and it's a great finish. But should it have stood in the first place, mate, from that corner? Looked a yard outside the corner, didn't it? But what were your thoughts, mate?
It makes a change for them things to go for us, doesn't it? We were complaining the other week when there was a moving ball when they put a corner in to score. So to get away with that was good because I also think, by the way, the second goal were probably offside, but. I mean, we'd missed a couple of decent chances before that. Wiles had put Bojan in with an early cross, and Bojan sort of stabbed it wide. Vicky came off the defender, and then Tommy Lees had one at the back post, a deep corner, and he managed to head it back across, and it was just going to drop in the line, and their lad hacked it off. So we'd had a couple of half decent chances before it dropped to Pearson. I say it was horrid defending. Their man was brushed off the ball far too easy. He went to ground open for a free kick as well, which never came. And as you say, Matty stuck it in. I'm sure he was tempted to probably do press ups and editing anyway, wasn't he? But he managed to smash it in. And from there on in, to be honest, we never looked in any danger of losing that game. They're a team that was struggling, and you could clearly see that the second goal absolutely killed them. Their confidence was shot at that point. The few Rovers fans that made the long journey up were then starting to turn on both the team and the manager. And it felt like it was going to be a long afternoon for them, and so it showed in the end.
I really enjoyed Marshall's goal. I enjoyed it for 2 reasons. One, because we had a defender busting a gut, getting up the pitch, making things happen, driving forward. It's a great ball, and then what a finish it is from Marshall. He just doesn't think about it. It reminded me of, Bolton when he was with that cross. He didn't even have to think about it, did he? With that crossing for that Koroma goal. It was exactly the same thing, wasn't it? Just that little bit of class, that instinctiveness. It's a brilliant finish. And
very, very, another Jordan Rhodes type finish for me.
Yeah.
A young Jordan Rhodes finish.
I think we've got to give credit to Chapman for that first pass that picked Longwick out, and then he drove. That was something to get excited about. I don't think he was. He could have been marginally offside. I think our mate Mr. Hunt may have just about played him on because he was a little bit further on if you looked at the still. So it was beyond the centre half for definite. But I think old bastard Hunt was playing him on. What I loved about Saturday was Callum Marshall. I thought he was absolutely amazing. He got absolutely wiped out in the first couple of minutes by a big Grizzly centre half. There's number 4, I think it was. And he got him back about 3 minutes later. Absolutely smashed him back, and I thought, I love that. He's not going to take it. The guy from Wrexham last night were in his ear last night. Saw it on the telly, and he was giving it him back. That kid's got something about him. He would go a long, long way. So yeah, look, chuffed to bits for him. I thought brilliant goal, and well deserved. And yeah, it was a lovely piece of football. Unusual for Town, but yeah, a great goal.
Ian, I think it's Huddersfield Town in it, so we're 2-0 up at half time. Now you're thinking we were so dominant in that first half, completely dominant. They never really got a look in, but there's always that little nagging voice in the back of your mind thinking, can we do the same in the second half? Because we've seen it before this season in quite a few other games where we've done well the first half and then just sat back, gone into our shell a bit second half, and teams have taken advantage of that. And I was thinking, we've played so well. Can we go out there, get the third goal and kill them off and go from there? And then we come out and, I mean, we talk about boxer twitching football. What about that pass through from Lombite to Miller? It's an absolute perler, isn't it? I never get tired of watching ball passages of play like that. I mean, it's rare we see him at Town, unfortunately, these days, but what a pass that is. It deserved a goal all day long. And, for our mate Bojan to get on the score sheet finally, it were pretty much perfect, wasn't it?
It were a great day. And looking back at the performances we've put in this season, for me, quietly, the win against Bristol Rovers, in that it's a home game, you're coming up against a team where they'd won a couple before, and I think they'd be Charlton and Burton leading up to it. But before that, they might have lost 4 in a row, if I can remember correctly. Might be off on my stats there a little bit, but they'd had a real poor run of form before a couple of decent results. And now the manager, Matt Taylor, were falling out with people behind the scenes, and they were coming into the game, okay, on the back of a couple of wins, but there was some major cracks there. And Town are at home. Well, okay, we beat Barnsley twice, but I just thought Barnsley were a team that were perfect for us. Thought they weren't ready or right for the style of football. And Michael Duff knows what Barnsley play like because it's his football. He's built that. Going into this one, it was a real kind of test to see where Town were for me, to see if we can get easy wins on the board, because you can't go through a season where every game's really, really tough. You've got to kind of just turn up a little bit and comfortably run away with one. And I thought that's what we did against Bristol Rovers from the first minute. We looked like the better team. We dominated. That first half was probably as complete a first half we've had at home all season, without being excessively exciting, just controlling games. And now that's a change for us. We've been quite bipolar when it comes to the performances this year, haven't we? And especially the results, in that we've been fantastic and we've won, or we've been awful and we've lost. Rotherham's a little bit different. I feel like the referee decisions kind of cheated us out of a result there, but every other game's been boom or bust. Bristol Rovers were just comfortable from the off. I thought Matt Pearson, he looks like a player that's been born again. He looks like a 22-year-old centre-back. He's everywhere. He's driving forward. Even in the Wrexham game last night, he's getting the ball and driving through the thirds, and that's a centre-back doing it. And now, just 4 or 5 weeks ago, I don't think really had that. And Matty Pearson wasn't great last year either, but he looks like a total different player. A player who, as we all know, just didn't fancy at the beginning of the season, and he's played his way into being now, for me, the first centre-back I'd name in the team. He's been that good. It's great to see him get a goal, and if anything's going to fall to anyone in the box, you want it to fall to Matty Pearson, don't you? Because he doesn't miss. Before Pearson's goal, Leeds had another opportunity from another corner that he nearly put in. I think it was cleared off the line, wasn't it? Yeah. We started well. Marshall was busy. I know you're saying his goal's a bit like a road. To me, he plays more like Lee Novak played, if you're going to compare him to either of those strikers. In that he just does the busy work, and he's unselfish, guys. I think if Marshall played as a typical 9, he'd probably get 20, 25 goals a year. He could be that good, but he doesn't just do that. He's making Bojan Radulovic look like a bona fide number 9 for us at the moment. And now, up until Marshall playing with Bojan, I don't think anyone could sit here and say Radulevic's actually looked half a decent player. There's things that he does that technically look good, and there is something there, absolutely. But Marshall's unlocked that for him, because he does all the he does the selfless running that creates space for everybody else. And I honestly think, up until Wrexham's second half, Wrexham game entirely when it comes to how Marshall performed. Marshall's performances against Barnsley and Bristol Rovers have really, really helped us kind of get into a little bit of form, a little bit of belief in the team. And that's what we saw in that first half against Bristol Rovers. You were coming to play at our stadium and we were going to dictate the football our way. And they just couldn't handle it. I think we've got them at the right time. Their defensive structure was absolutely awful. And of all the teams we've played this year, even Peterborough looked better in defence. Their weakness was playing out from the back. Bristol Rovers just didn't bother tracking the runners. They couldn't be asked. For the long fight, the ball, I know you love a good ball, Nick. We've been there before. You love it. And it is a beautiful, beautiful pass. But the second goal and the third goal are quite similar. For the second goal, Marshall has just breezed past his centre-back, who's not even bothered really trying to chase him. He's onside for me, guys. I don't know if it was Hunt playing him onside on the other side, but somebody's playing him onside on the top when you're looking back at the highlights. And it's just the centre-back's gone really slow after an easy, quick ball into Longvic, back into Marshall, and he's away. Wiles, I think, played him in, sorry. And then the third goal's the same. It's the same thing. It's the same ball out wide to a centre-back. The striker starts bezzing it. It's Miller, actually, in that sense, isn't it? I think the ball goes from Longvic to Miller. And Scott Sinclair just doesn't bother chasing him. He can't be asked. He looks over his shoulder. He sees Miller going, and he just doesn't go. And that's a sign of a poor team or a team that's lost faith in the manager and that feel like they're up against it and they don't fancy it. And we took advantage of it. And it's a great goal by Bojan. I think he still had a lot to do with that finish. The keeper's coming out. The ball's come across fast, and he's put it in the bottom corner of the goal. And we said going into this game that I'd have been happy with Bojan arsing one in. He just needed an extra goal at home just to break that, anything. But Miller did all the hard work for him. It was fantastic play by Longvic to Miller into Bojan. And okay, the last 30 minutes, I'm sure we're going to go on to, is a little bit different. But at 3-0 up, you can turn it off a bit. You can chill out a little bit. And you have to be able to control games like that. We have enough injuries as it is. If you're 3-0 up, you don't want to push on for a full 90 minutes and risk more injuries. You have to control games, especially in League One, when so many games come thick and fast. Wrexham yesterday, Exeter again, a tough game on Saturday. You have to reserve yourself in certain aspects. So the drop off to the end of the game, to me, isn't that worrying. What's good is we controlled the game when it mattered and we put it out of sight for probably the first time this season at home. And it's really, really positive.
We had chance. I mean, they had chance to make it 4. I think we almost got a 2-on-1, didn't we? And Wiles had a shot there, keeper's palmed it, and then somehow Bojan's kicked it off the keeper again. I remain unconvinced that I'd rather see Healy play with Marshall. We need to keep Healy fit because I think Healy and Marshall are a much greater threat to League One defences than Bojan and Marshall. Healy's more mobile, he wins more headers, and he knows where the net is. I was delighted for Bojan to get a goal because he's had some stick. But I'm still not convinced he's the answer.
He's been getting chances though, guys. He's had so many chances, and I'm a believer that if you get the chances, you can miss them eventually. But in time, you'll kind of play your way into scoring more of them. Unless, sorry, you're at the bottom of the division. If you're in Championship, right at the bottom, and you're not scoring enough goals, and you've got so much pressure because you don't know how long it's going to be until the next one comes across. But Bojan is at least getting them now, and he wasn't even doing that before.
Yeah, but I still think if you've got a choice of Healy or Bojan, you would play Healy every week first. But the defence, by the way, I think everybody in the ground, once you realise that Lees was playing the middle of the 3 and Matty Pearson was playing the right-hand side of the 3, I think we all were like, oh, God, not here we go again. I think you'd said on another podcast, Ian, about how you expected Matty to retain that centre defence, the middle of the 3 at the back row. And I did as well, by the way. I thought that's exactly what he'd do. But you have to give Michael Duff credit. He changed it. And actually, I think the last 2 games, Tom Lees has probably his best 2 games of the season so far. It's really weird, isn't it? He was really.
I was frothing looking at that lineup, thinking, "What's he doing?" Because I also went out. I even went further, though, didn't I?
Yeah.
I even went further because I suggested that you can't play Kane there either. Because if you've got Kane, Lees, and Pearson, it's so slow. You just can't have that.
No.
Obviously thought stuff it.
I'll
do it anyway.
Yeah, but I think what Lees did do, certainly in the Wrexham game, and we'll come to that, is, but he went back to being Tom Lees. He just defended properly. And we said, when we played well in the Championship at times last year, we played well when Tom Lees seemed to play well. So, you have to take that off to Michael Duff because I think he was probably the only man in the ground that thought that were a good idea and look how it worked out. So just goes to show what we know, doesn't it? But I think I do wish we'd scored that 4th because I think they killed it. And I think people are saying we sat back after the 3rd goal. I don't think we did, actually. I think there's a bit of something in what Michael Duff said around it's 3-0 down football. They've not to lose, and they actually then pushed out. They put 4 up top and pushed our wing backs back, and suddenly we had a flat back 5, and it gave them space to play. And they hadn't had all afternoon, so possibly if you Matt Taylor, you're kicking yourself for not doing that from the kickoff or earlier, perhaps. But yeah, we conceded 1 goal, and then the second chance, the one that the guy missed was massive. Nickel Miller was dawdling, thinking of the objective, whatever objective you want, and the bloke nicked the ball. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it count because at 3-2 might have been a different prospect. But they seemed to give up. That miss seemed to then completely destroy them again. They were so fragile.
Should Chapman have done better for that goal, guys? It looked like he got a big hand to it, but it still snuck in, didn't it?
Well, Longback should have done better because, we gave the ball away from our own throw-in halfway in our own half. It was pathetic.
Yeah. And another thing on that is Bristol Rovers, whilst they look better when we kind of just sat back and went into that bend, don't break defence, that's how I can refer to it as, okay, you can have the ball, play in front of us, but you're not going to break us down. And the only way they did manage to score was from an error from us that should have never happened. If Chapman stands there and doesn't even bother putting his hands up and just watches it goes into the back of the net, no one complains, no one says anything. And it'd have been well within his rights to do so, I think, honestly. He's done his best to save it. He's Australian, so of course I'm going to be a little bit more compassionate than if it were Ryan Schofield or someone we've had a year previously. Of course I will be.
Is he? By the way, is he the palest Australian other than Aaron Moy you've ever seen?
You just don't. When you're in Australia, mate, you don't go in the sun. The only people going to the suns are non-Australians because we're too stupid to realise the damage. Yeah. I'm only 21, and look how much it saves me. But that's the thing with Chapman.
I must have spent 48 hours a day in the sunshine.
I did. That's exactly what I did. But no, Chapman, I think, I don't know. The mistake wasn't on Chapman. If he could have done better as a different, is probably a valid question. But we should have never got to that. We've got experienced pros messing about from a throw-in because we're 3-0 up. Because if it is 0-0, we don't throw it in like that. We don't play football there. We play a little bit more direct. And that's the problem with Nigel Donvike, isn't it? He's got an air about him that's just very casual. And I think he has a tendency to switch off. And I think Duff's spoken about it, Annie, previously, about the other. Who was it before when he was messing about on the edge of the box?
It was every single game. That's what he does, doesn't he? That's his mindset. That's how he plays.
But that is how he plays, and there's benefits in it because when he has his nonchalant pass into Miller to set up Bojan and for the third goal, that's the payoff on the other side of it.
Yeah,
he's got it's high risk, high reward football with Nigel Donvike, and it's just a casual way of playing, which will frustrate some people because he will make stupid mistakes like he did. So I'm not going to go out and blame my fellow countryman Chapman because I think the mistake was before that and it shouldn't have got to that problem.
That's overall, Duff said that's why he's still in League One, isn't it? He was here 2 years ago. The reason that he's still here is because of mistakes like that. But the lad's quality, but you just wish he could be quality for 90 minutes, a bit like Town. I don't think, like I said, I don't think they switched off after 60 minutes, but it does frustrate me that they're highly paid professional footballers who should be able to carry out a game plan for 90 minutes, and that it shouldn't involve going, right, okay, we've got this one, we need to conserve. I don't get that. We've got a squad, we should rotate. There's plenty of good players sat on the sidelines that aren't getting in this team, aren't even getting in the squad. So, for me,
he does like to hang on for subs though, Andy. That's a really good point.
Yeah, he should have responded. He should have gone, right, hang on a minute. I've realised they're playing. I've never heard 3-0 football before, but it makes a lot of sense. They've not to lose, so they did try and they changed shape and did something different. And it took him ages to respond to it. And that's a worry for me that he's not going, hang on a minute, I need to do something here, because talked about making tweaks at halftime yesterday, great, but you have to make him in the game as well, I think. I know you used to do it with Net Terriers, mate. You were really good at that changing the shape and the setup and everything for us to be an indomitable outfit, tough to beat. But, yes, a bit grumpy with him for the last 30 minutes. And then with the thing about the strange atmosphere and the crowd, well, for me, sorry, mate, that's not us beating Man U 2-1 like it was 7 years ago. That's a regulation win in League One. So forgive me if I don't absolutely knock one out because I'm excited about it. Sorry, it is what it is. You've got to get us back into a position where we've got more things to be excited about. 10 seasons out of 12 on a losing streak. So forgive us if we're a little bit reticent when we see our team not maybe performing as much as we'd like to, because we've got used to them doing that. Sorry, Mr. Duff, I'm a bit grumpy about you having a pop.
I think he recognises, in fairness to him, Andy, I think he recognises that. He does pick up on it, and I guess he is going to be defensive. But I think, it's difficult. And we scored the third goal on the 52nd minute. It's like a long time then to 90 minutes from there, isn't it? That's the other thing. It's a long time in a game, and the professionals want to just close it out. And we really should have been in for a clean sheet.
Yeah,
I'm with you. All right, we'd have to go and score a 4th or a 5th or a 6th. But as professionals, we should have been aiming for a clean sheet. And but for their man slicing it wide, we could have been into a bloody mad last 10 minutes, couldn't we?
Yeah,
it were more nervous than it needed to be, wasn't it? It should have been comprehensive, easy 3-0. Just control the game, keep them at arm's length. But we've seen it before, haven't we? How many times have we seen it where we've 3-0? You wouldn't be confident at 4-0, would you? Because we've seen where you concede a goal, and especially with the mindset that we've had of late of not responding well to adversity. When that goal goes in, I'm not surprised everyone were nervous, because this is what we've seen, that we've just folded. And like you say, Gaz, if that goal goes in there, everyone, it's squeaky bum time then for the rest of the game, innit? So I think it's understandable. We've seen too much dross and we've had too many nerves. They like to test the nerves too much for it to be all, jolly and roses and everyone knocking one out, as you said, Andy, That's for last time, Carmichael, Dave. If you're still on, I'm sorry, mate. We're only joking. If you are still on. Guys, get your comments in, get your questions in. What do you guys think? Were you happy with it? Are you happy with Bojan? Do you think he's starting to come good? Or are you like Gaz, you've got some reservations? Who do you think was a standout player? I don't know. I mean, I was just happy with the win guys, to be honest. I think at this moment in time, after the run we've been on, it's all about wins, isn't it? It's not even really performances necessarily at this moment in time. It's just getting the wins to get us back up towards the top end of the table.
It was good to see the centre midfield function as well. I thought it's the first game in a long time the midfield 3 functioned as a 3. That again, I'm not sure many people would have seen Kane getting picked and starting, and actually it proved to be a really good decision. I think it probably didn't work anywhere near as well on Tuesday night, but against Bristol Rovers, I thought it worked, and it was really nice to see, because I think we've all accepted that when they perform at this level, they're as good as anything. I thought Wiles was really good on the day. I thought he was effective. He used the ball well, and he caused some problems, and he did that in flashes on Tuesday as well.
Yeah.
I think he's best we've got, Gaz, at the moment, Ben Wiles. Honestly, I think the way he attacks and dictates play for us. And was it Wiles that had the ball outside the quadrant then? It would have been, wouldn't it? That
was the second time as well. Because we'd spotted it first time we'd taken it.
Do you know what? I can't love anything more than that, because honestly, it makes no difference to how good a cross is. It don't. It's an inch at best, right? It makes no fucking difference. But it just winds.
Mate, an inch makes all the difference. Just ask me, missus.
But it winds everybody up. It winds everybody up. The other team get frustrated. He's getting away with it. Yeah. We know he's getting away with it. He's brilliant. Things like that make a massive difference over the course of the season. The little wins, little psychological battles. Football is won not just by talent of individuals, because I genuinely believe from maybe the mid-table in the Premier League to the bottom of League 2, talent isn't that different. Okay, depending on position, I think they're all fit. But what isn't there with them all is belief. Like Wrexham yesterday, the fans, even in the first half, and I'm jumping the gun a little bit here, they were the better team, but they didn't score. But they didn't start with the groans. They didn't really get like that. Whereas if Town were at home, would have been groaning, would have been whinging. But it's the belief the fans have that later on they're going to come good. And not only do the fans have that, the team and players have that as well. So to see Town now just kind of improving, and especially Ben Wiles, I think he's great. I think he's great. I had this discussion with Matt Shaw from a certain other podcast, in that I don't think we've got any individuals that can come on and change the game. That's our weakness at the moment. We don't have those impact players that can come on and just be like, right, I'm going to win this game for you. We've got a great squad. We've got a deep squad, probably the best in the division. I've not really looked at Birmingham's secondary options in defence and midfield. We know what they've got up top. They've got loads of options there. But bar Birmingham, no one can really fairly compare any League One team to them. Our depth is fantastic. but we just don't have those match winners. But to see Ben Wiles, especially, like you say, guys, dictating play, it just every time he gets it, he feels like he can create something now. He seems like a total different player, not having to share that same space with Evans. And I think we just expect him to start week in and week out. And I think he's expecting that now as well. And he's really showing what we actually bought, because up until now, there's just not been flashes of it. I do feel like last year and previously he's had to do a lot of work to cover Rodoni, because Rodoni kind of played that role, didn't he? That free ACM where he can start creating a little bit more. Now Wiles is having to pick up that mantle a little bit. And whilst he's not there yet, he's slowly kind of growing into it. And quickly, at least for me, him and Kasumu, after Pearson, are the first three I'd pick. No matter what formation we're playing, those three have really stepped it up. Kasumu especially. And when we go into the Wrexham game, that really does show you where David Kasumu is at the moment.
I don't think it's any coincidence that since Kasuma's been playing, Wiles has looked a lot better. I think he needs more dynamism around him. And if you give him a free role, you've got people occupying other midfielders. It just creates that bit of space for him, and then he can do his magic. I've Kasumu again. The last couple of games, I thought it's been outstanding. Really, I love his energy. I love his tenacity and his dynamism. I just wish he wouldn't get booked every game, but can't have it all, can you? But let's move on to Wrexham, guys. I'm going to plug it again. By the way, I do this every episode. But if you want to come on with us and chat rubbish like me, you can do. Just DM us. You know, we want as many people on here as possible, different views. Everyone's got their own opinion, haven't they? So we want as many different people participating as possible.
You don't even have to have the surname K.
You don't, although it's not compulsory.
No. You're going to change back to Paul, be my guest.
Carmichael, Dave, mate, if you want to come on, don't let Gaz put you off. You know, we are all miserable.
I love America. I've been loads of times. My last holiday, I went to San Francisco. I mean, I was virtually in
neighbour. Did you go to Sacramento, though? Did you nip up the road to Sacramento? No, you didn't.
Well, I did try. You see, just get the wife's down there, but you know, I did try and talk wife into going to Sacramento. I should go for a day. I was like, "What do you want to go to Sacramento for?" I mean, we should just go and have a look. Anyway, it didn't work, Andy. Didn't work.
No, so I can understand that.
Carmichael is probably breathing a sigh.
So this is probably switched off ages ago, mate. He probably listened to us for 5 minutes and thought this is rubbish and switched off.
It's a cracking episode, this, boys. I just want to mention at this point, we're now 28 minutes in. You've all whinged and been negative apart from me. This never happens.
I haven't whinged. What have I whinged about?
Attendances. You all wanted to die off in that last 30 minutes.
Alan Marshall's
control games. You were wondering about Australian Sun.
I've been positive. I've been nothing but positive. What a turnaround for somebody who predicted 7th before the season, got called out like mad by everybody for it. I admitted I was wrong, and then had to take that admission back because I was right, and now I'm wrong again. But I'm still more positive than you guys. Come on, we've won. We've won. What is it now? We are on the form table in League One as of today, 3rd, even with the draw yesterday. Wow, look at us going places. And you guys whinging about attendances, whinging about, I shouldn't be pumped up, it's just a regulation win. Unbelievable.
League One, mate. League One. Not to get excited about.
I'm pumped up, mate. Can't you tell? This is my excited face. Honestly, I've wet my chair. You can't see it, but I've wet my chair in excitement.
Well, you spilled your pint.
Guys, as well, if you'd be so kind, subscribe on YouTube. We are doing a shirt giveaway from the Gaz. Do we know this now? 2003-2004 season, I'm guessing. With the signatures on there.
I promised to do some more research after our last podcast, and honestly, I haven't. So I must apologise in advance for not doing what I promised.
Sorry, guys.
But anybody that works with me will know that that's a fairly regular occurrence.
Well, Lee Fowler's signature's on there, I'm sure, and that was. I'm certain that it's the playoff.
His was really clear.
Yeah,
Danny Schofield's on it, definitely on it.
There's a lot of signatures on there. So yeah,
Andy Booth.
Boover.
Yeah,
so yeah, if you can subscribe on YouTube, it'll help us out a lot. And then whoever will pick, once we get to 1,000 subscribers, we'll pick a winner, and you'll be the proud owner of a signed shirt from, we believe to be the promotion season. So
yeah, just there's a comment in.
Can I make a bid for that chair?
He wants to come.
What now? I've weed on it. That's just weird, James. I don't know what's going on there, mate. It's I mean, I don't really know how to respond to that, but yeah, I mean, if you'll pay for it, I'll sell it, mate. I'll even sign it for you if you want.
That's niche stuff, that, isn't it? That's
niche. Very niche, very niche. Where's this podcast descended to?
Can we go back to football?
Let's get back to it because
on an avenue I really didn't expect.
No, let's move on to the Wrexham game swiftly. So, obviously, a great 3 points against Bristol. It were always going to be tough at Wrexham. They've won every game at home this season. They're absolutely flying. Some would say they've not got the best squad, but I would say they've got an experienced squad, very well drilled, decent manager at this level particular. So it was going to be very, very difficult on a Tuesday night to go down there and get the win. I thought, do you know what? I know you talked about the Wrexham fans not moaning, and they didn't moan, but I didn't think they were particularly loud either, if I'm being honest. I thought they were pretty quiet considering the run they're on and all the hype and everything. I mean, not that we're in like San Siro or anything, but you know, I expected a bit more of a cauldron type atmosphere, and it didn't really materialise. But maybe that's a bit down to us being quite defensively astute and resolute. First half, Wrexham took control, I thought. I didn't think we really got to grips with it. We couldn't make the ball stick. I think Michael Duff in his press conference said it were like having a brick wall up on the halfway line, and it was just bouncing back and back. But other than the one-on-one, which Chapman pulled off a really good save in the first half, I don't think it was really threatened that much. I think we kept them. They had a few set pieces, a few corners, but I think we kept them pretty much at arm's length. And then second half, we come out, we changed it a bit, we went flattering across the midfield, and we took control. And I thought when Danny Walk came on, he made a bit of a difference. He looked sharp as he's been for a long time. And we had, without creating any real gilt-edged chances, I thought we started to create a few more bits and pieces. And I can't recall Chapman really making any decent save of note in the second half. And for a team like Wrexham, who are so strong at home, I think that's a really good point on the road. I'm more than happy with that.
The word that Killer used earlier about Town as a team, bipolar, is absolute. We were bipolar in that game. So first half, we had the scenario of like booting it up front. And I went, can we not just hold the ball up front? Bojan controls it further than I could ever kick it sometimes, and that's really frustrating. But second half, I mean, they felt a lot like in the first half, like the team that came down from the Championship last year. Not much idea who fit it forward, coming back constantly under pressure. Whatever Duff did at half time to tweak it and set it up better. Maybe taking Marshall off and bringing Danny, Cruyff, Turn, Ward on. He pulled one off, didn't he? He sent the cameraman to the shops as well as the player. Which
you've been watching that on replay, haven't you?
I've been watching it all day on replay. It's amazing.
Don't say pulled one off on this, mate. We've already talked. We've already been down that road.
That's a rabbit hole we don't want to go down, isn't it?
We're not. But yeah, bipolar, but absolutely a point deserved. Maybe it's one of them. If it had just, like Duff said, if it had dropped for us in the box once, we could have got something. There was a moment when Chapman there was a cross to the back post, and he sort of lost his bearings a bit, and that could have gone against us. But that was the only time second half where I felt anyway sort of nervous about what Wrexham were trying to do. I wasn't that impressed with Wrexham.
They're a typical Parky team, though, Andy. They play front to back really quickly. You know, and you have to give them. I think part of the issue we had in the first half was you have to give them credit that they're really hard working Wrexham. They closed us down, they closed the space, and they knew where our threat was. You know, as soon as he got to wing back, there was a man on them, two men on them. They were closing them down. But you know, they've got some players on big money in that squad. They've got Fletcher and McLean and Mullins. Mullins was on Championship wages when they were non-league. Yeah. You know, the keeper they've signed from, is it Arsenal or Chelsea or whether they've signed him? Yeah. I mean, he'll be on big money. So, you know, that Barnett they signed, did they pay £4 million for him or something? That Barnett, the winger that Miller was up against, the one who had the shot that Chapman saved. You know, so they've got some big wages. And I have a depot in D-side, and two of the lads there are big Wrexham fans. One's been going. One's a recent convert, and the other one's been going since, you know, a proper fan who was going when they were shit. and they're used to steamrolling teams. That's why the Wrexham fans were quiet. They're used to teams coming in, not being able to live with that first 15 or 20 minutes, that onslaught that you seem to get. Can't live with it. The 2 down, and then it's party time, innit? But I'm with you. I think other than Ryan Barnett's shot, which was a brilliant save, by the way, from Chapman. It was not a big, strong hand going down the post. That really was their only chance. And when you look at the game stats, that was their only shot on target. And I'm with you. They've got all the momentum. They've got all of the noise. I actually thought it was an absolutely brilliant performance by Town. I thought it was a thoroughly deserved point. And then with Unit on another day, we could easily have taken all 3 out of that game, and they couldn't have complained if we did. I don't think.
I thought Wrexham.
Yeah.
I thought Wrexham were good. I enjoyed watching the way they play football, and I know it's not one for purists. They don't pass. They're not. They're just shy. I saw somebody today say if they played football like that in the Championship, they'd finish bottom. I don't think they would. I think they played perfect football for English football. Parkinson's got them playing really well. You could see exactly what they were trying to do. So what they tried to do yesterday in that first half, obviously they play high tempo, and Town's setup was the first part of this piece, right? We fucked around in that second half against Bristol Rovers, and Duff's gone out saying we've got to be tight at the back and don't mess it about. Let's get it forward. Let's get it out of playing it in the positions where they can catch us with a high intensity to start off with. And that's why we kept going so long. And Marshall would it didn't relieve the pressure that it was sent out there to do. That's what the entire game plan was. I'm guessing that's what Duff were trying to build the game plan around. And that's why Marshall got yanked off at half time. Careful, Nick. But that's why he got taken off at half time, because it just wasn't. It wasn't doing it. It wasn't relieving any sort of pressure. He was just losing possession all the time. And as soon as Ward came on, he changed that entire dynamic, didn't he? Ward still, honestly, I think a motivated Ward, is as good as any striker we've got. He's as good as any striker in this division. Maybe not the goal scoring side of it, but as an all-round guy, he were at it yesterday in that second half, and he really changed the entire fortunes of our team because it allowed us to play the way Duff wanted us to play. But what Wrexham were doing in that first half is they were playing their usual high-intensity stuff, but they were trying to drag out our wing-backs. And as soon as they dragged them out, they're trying to hit a quick ball over our centre-backs' heads. And now that's what worked against us in the first few games of the season, over and over again. Stevenage got it right in that second half. Northampton got it right, as we know. There's all these other teams that kind of have worked it out. And you could see Parkinson getting really, really fucking annoyed when it didn't work. You could see him jump off his seat. Oh, we need to mention it, by the way, Camp Hope, amazing commentary yesterday. He was phenomenal. I can't believe some Town fans online were saying he was like a Wrexham. Camp Hope is a massive Town fan, a season ticket holder. He has been for years, right? I don't know if he's this year. Maybe he isn't this year, but he has been for years. Of course, you've got to be overkind for a little bit before you can turn full Town charm on. So first 10 minutes, of course, you're going to be a little bit pro Wrexham, and then you're going to show your true colours. If Town has scored, make no bones about it, Cam would have been celebrating in our group chat as much as anybody else. But I thought he was fantastic, though. The depth of knowledge Cam has and the research he puts into both teams is phenomenal. Yeah, it's not just Town. He knows Town. Of course he knows Town. But the work he puts in, all you have to do is follow his Instagram account, his Twitter account, and see the research he puts in. Cam also talked throughout the entire half time, and I don't think all the commentators do that. I'm pretty sure they don't. But for 15 minutes, he fills the highlights. He tells you more information about what's going on, topical stuff that is actually interesting. Most of us know a lot about football, or we think we do. But even Cam's throwing in new nuggets that we didn't necessarily know before the game. I thought Cam was fantastic. And my man of the match, Cam, if you're listening, is you, because I thought you were great. Right.
Yeah,
but no, Parkinson were getting really fucked off as soon as he didn't hit that ball quick enough when Town got dragged out of place in that first half. But that first half performance for Town was fine. It's an away performance. And the thing is, and this is something I mentioned before, I think we as Town fans have a problem in that we think we're too big for this division. And when we're playing teams like Northampton at home, we think, we should be beating them. So when we lose, we're all like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. But then we beat Bristol Rovers at home. And instead of being like, we've beaten them, good, let's move on, great. It's still nitpicking because, we should have closed them out. No, this is League One football. We're in this division because we deserve to be here. And again, the difference between the teams at the bottom and the teams at the top. Look at yesterday, Cambridge, awful all season. They're beating Stevenage 2-0 away from home. Stevenage, who did a job on us in the second half, and we're very unlucky to get nothing from that game. It's a tight division, and on the day, anyone can do anything. And a 3-1 win, regardless of the problems at the end of the game, you have to move on and be happy enough with it and just, right, next game. Wrexham, because we all think they're pretty good and we know they're pretty good, everyone's happy with the defensive performance in that first half. If we go away, right, to Cambridge and put that in, is anyone here sat thinking, yeah, good defensive first half, and we turn it in the second half? We'll be all thinking, it's not good enough. We've got to be better in that first half. It's always relative to how I think Town fans believe the strength of the opposition is. And we still, at the moment, are kind of resetting ourselves to realizing we are a League One club, and we're not big hitters really. We're just kind of a good team in this division. And there's going to be certain games that you have to play defensive football. Wrexham was one of them, and that first half set the groundwork for me that we broke their kind of belief they could steamroller us, like you say, guys. I think they worked out we weren't there to be beaten easily. And once that second half and Danny Ward came on and we started offering just a little bit more, Wrexham didn't particularly, I won't say didn't fancy it, but they just didn't throw anything at it, did they? I think they were pretty happy with a point at the end of the game as well. And for Town, again, of all the results this season, getting a draw there yesterday, especially considering how we played at Birmingham, because that's realistically the only other game you can look at this year where we've gone into it as probably the outsiders to win, right? And we turned up to Birmingham and we played so shite. We played so defensive, so defeatist, so like, oh, well, we're not going to win, so we'll just try and keep the score down. That's genuinely how I think we took Birmingham on. We didn't yesterday. We had a game plan and we went to take 3 points, playing a defensive first in that first 45 minutes and tweaking it and going at it in the second half. And for me, Duff got yesterday spot on. And I'm with you guys. If we'd have stolen that game 1-0, I don't think that'd have been a fair way to explain it. It wouldn't have been a stolen thing. It had been a professional away performance. I thought we were really good yesterday. To a man, even Marshall, it just didn't work for him because I don't think that's his game, what we asked him to do. But when Danny Ward came on, we looked much better. And it is nice to see Healy come on for that last few minutes.
Maybe that's part of this, the evolution of the team. I think at Birmingham, first 30 minutes, they played really well. And then they didn't get any results for it. And that's when maybe the mentality was a bit brittle and they dropped off, didn't they? And then they lost the way. And Duff's been talking about that mentality side of things and getting that better. And he felt they were a bit more resilient because, they were under the cosh a bit last night, first half, but came through it. So I think there are good signs. There are good signs. I take your point about us not being a big fish in this pond. We probably should be, but we're not. You're right. We're in League One for a reason. But I think we've also got to accept maybe that as a Town fan, you're gonna get the odd poor game. But I also think we should be putting some sides absolutely to bed as well. And that's the frustrating thing for me. So going back to Bristol, 3-0 up with about 40 minutes left. There's a 5 or a 6 on the cards there. If a real good team goes right, we're not.
But that's Andy. Just to jump in there though, that's not what Michael Duff's teams do. He plays his own style of football, and you can look back at all his results at Cheltenham and Barnsley where he's been successful. They don't run away with games. They win games by 1 or 2 goals, and they close up shop. I'm with you. I like Town running away and winning games by miles, like with Lee Clark. But we didn't get promoted. We failed. Michael Duff's been promoted from this division before. David Wagner, we never run away with games there, did we? We kind of won one and then we got battered. But that's it. You control games to get promoted. It's not beautiful. It's not. And it's extra stressful. And you have to, like you say, we do have those demons at the moment where we worry a lot if we concede like against Bristol Rovers. Oh, if the other one had gone in, it'd been the end of the world. We worry because we're Town fans. We've been through it for so long. But I honestly believe to be a successful team, unless you spend the money Birmingham have, you have to play like that. You have to control games and turn it up and down when necessary. It's hard to explain why, but if you just look at how successful seasons go, I think it's part and parcel of football. We will stuff a team at some point. I am sure of that. But it's just not how Duff plays football. He closes games down, and it's just what he's done wherever he's been before. So I think we have to just kind of accept that. As long as we're winning, that's okay.
Well, it was a cracking. We were the first people to take any points off Wrexham at home this season, so that's not to be sniffed. That is it. They've paid big wages. They may not have paid big transfer fees, but they pay big wages. They've got all the confidence that you come with when you get promoted, like they got promoted. You've got all of the other stuff going on around the club that makes it what it is. And I thought it was a really good point. And I'm just thinking about what you said about, well, if that was Cambridge United, would you be happy? Well, no, but we respect Cambridge United. So, I think we probably do accept that output when the opposition is what it is. And I think the other thing I am pleased about now is I was having a look at the fixtures earlier. Now we've got a real clear run of away games where you look at them and you think, well, there's, we've got a run till Christmas now where these, the big 2, the big 3 or 4 that we were worried about, we don't have to play them. got a real chance now between now and Christmas, or January rather, to start really stringing some wins together. And if they aren't confident off the back of them 2 games, taking 4 points out of those particular 2 games, it's a struggle. And I saw Duff's comment saying, it's only a good point if we're going to win at Exeter. I completely agree with him. But it's all set up now for us to go and do that. But it was a really good, strong team performance. I think if I have a criticism, I think Healy and Evans should have been on 10, 15 minutes before they were. And I do wonder if he'd have done that, because Healy really caused them some problems. He won more headers in 8 minutes than Bojan touched the ball, probably in the other 82. So, I think if he'd have brought Healy on early, I just wonder whether something might have fallen. He's the kind of guy that suddenly finds space in the box and finishes, doesn't he? So it was a brilliant point, and it was nice to keep the noisy Welshman quiet.
I thought David Kasuma was fantastic, by the way. I thought he was out and out the best player on the field yesterday. I thought he was great. He had the most tackles, the most accurate passes of anyone over like 3 passes, the most yards. He was unbelievable. David
Do you know what else I liked, Ian? He took a really clever yellow card.
Yeah. Never mind. That's another negative bit, isn't it?
And what we always do, what we've done is jump out of the way. He didn't jump out of the way. He just thought, I'm going to fucking wipe him out. And he wiped him out and took the yellow card. But what a brilliant, and it was a really...
Well, he's come in, hasn't it? He's come in as the upgrade over Johnny Ogg. That's what David Kasuma is now. He's that more mobile defensive midfielder that when our wing-back, get too high and you've got a space behind him, it's David Kasuma that gets in, and that's why he's got the most tackles yesterday. Let me have a quick look on it. I can't remember. It's like and Tom Lees, to be fair as well. Tom Lees had won the most aerial duels, and he was up against Palmer, who wins most of his. It was an unbelievable thing. Yeah. David Kasuma, 89% accurate passes. And okay, you can say, well, loads of them are backwards. They're not with Kasuma. He actually drives forward. His first look is a progressive pass. It's not a sideways pass necessarily, or Johnny Ogg just going for the safe ones every single time. Honestly, if you go through all the statistics from yesterday, it's either Tom Lees or David Kasuma. Clearances, Tom Lees, 11. 12 defensive actions, double anyone else on the team. Interceptions, David Kasuma's up there. Lomvic's up there. We were just defensively and structurally sound. And we grew into it in the game. Even though in that second half we had more of the ball and we looked like we could score more goals, it was all based on being better defensively. We just stopped Wrexham playing. And once their tempo and intensity, what couldn't be it how it was for that first 30 minutes, we took charge of the game from the back and built going forward. And with you guys, I think if he makes the changes earlier on, we could have won that game. But then again, what I do appreciate there is Duff's scared of changing it because it's working. So your dilemma is there. Do I change it? Do I bring Evans in on here for Wiles, but then he's not going to do the same amount of running as Wiles? And the balance is just right. Sometimes as well, when you're drawing with a team and they take off a guy who you've struggled to mark all game, even though somebody fresh is coming on, you think, oh, here's my chance. And it can give the other team a lift when you take a better guy off. So I understand why he didn't want to change it. And it's just good to get a point. I actually think, and this might sound pretty mental, a point yesterday isn't that much worse than getting 3 points. It gives us belief that we can grind out results and points when the win isn't there, because we can't just totally go for it and gamble every single game. Going to this, we're 11 games without a draw, which is unheard of. Only one manager has ever done that before, I think, with Town, according to Lee Morris. Was it 1908, 1909 or something, where we went 23 games without a draw? It's kind of strange. It's nice to grind out a result in Wrexham. And I really think going into Saturday, it gives us something nice to base it upon. But like you say, guys, if we don't get anything positive on Saturday, it kind of throws it out the window again. So Saturday becomes a big game now because of it. It just feels like every game's really big at the moment, doesn't it? And I wonder if that's a bit part of that bipolar style team we are at the moment, where it's either fantastic and we're flying, or it's shite and it's failing. It just feels like we're still on that precipice yet of how's this season going to go.
I think part of that's down to that run, though, in that really bad run that we went on. If we beat Northampton at home and get a point or win against Reading away, which we really should have done, looking at how we played, we'd be nearly second by now. And there wouldn't be this, well, we've got to win because now we've got to try and catch Wrexham up, who are 5 points in front. That's where the pressure comes from. We don't have that run, we're all right. But I think now fans, because we were down to 15th at one point, weren't we? So the fans are like, well, now we've got to go and win these next few games to try and... Because really, realistically, if you're looking at top 2, you're probably going to need to have a spell where you win 4 or 5 games in a row. And we're not quite there yet, are we? And I think that's where the frustration and the desperation comes from. You just want to see us get on a consistent winning run, but we haven't quite managed to do that yet. Now, maybe we will now, looking at some of these other fixtures. It's possible, but I mean, Exeter's not going to be easy, is it? They're right up there, started really well.
Yeah, six,
So,
I think Exeter, something like that.
Got beat last night, though, didn't they? I think.
Before we move off Wrexham, do you think that what do you think that's going to happen with them? Do you think they're going to remain? They're going to maintain this momentum that they've got, and they're going to carry that through? Or now you've seen them, do you think there's a chance they may drop away? I mean, they've got an okay squad, but it's not as big as you think.
I think the football they play is better than the squad that they have, and they're getting better results at the moment because
they remind me of Luton, Killer. When we played Luton in the Championship, and it went, well, they're shit, but they were effective.
Yeah, they are. I think what will happen is they'll lose a couple of games, and then people won't be as scared of them as they are, and won't show. I think they've probably shown too much respect. I think Town did that in that first half. Too much respect, a little bit. I understand the game plan and it worked in its entirety, but that fear is still there that they're really, really, really good. I think Birmingham taught them an absolute lesson. If you remember that game, in that Wrexham tried to go toe to toe with them for a little bit, and Birmingham just ate it up. I think Wrexham might have scored first, but then Birmingham ran away with it in the end. And Birmingham just taught them an absolute lesson. I think the players that they have are good enough for the system that they play with, because the system's really, really good. And I love Parkinson football. And I know I shouldn't because of the empty chair shit, which is still the most embarrassed moment I've ever had being a Town fan. Why did Ken Davey have an empty bloody chair there, as if he was going to turn, or as if halfway through interview we were going to turn up and go, it's all right, I'll take my chair now, I'll take Joe. But I know I shouldn't like him, but Parkinson did really well. Bradford, we know exactly how he plays proper League One, League Two football. And to be fair to him, has he ever had a good chance in Championship? Where's he been? Where's he been in Championship before? But with the right squad, I think he could. That's it. Yeah. I think he could succeed at any level relative to the club that he's with. It's just, I think they won't fall. Stockport are the better team of the two that have come up for me. I think Stockport will be higher than Wrexham by the end of the season. And I think at the moment, going to Wrexham for some of the other clubs where Ryan Reynolds might be there and it's going to be on TV in America, we've got so many people watching the game, just makes it a little bit, it gives them a really big home field advantage. But Town actually showed everyone else the blueprint yesterday. Hold out for 45 minutes, go pretty defensive, be structured, and then second half, you might be able to have a go once that intensity drops. Because now Wrexham are as invincible as everybody thought they were going into yesterday.
They've only won 2 out of the last 5, Wrexham, by the way. So they're not exactly on fire, are they?
No, and you get a bounce, don't you, when you go up? You see it all the time. Everyone that goes straight up, you've got that bounce, you've got that belief, you think you're
we were top of the Premier League. Do you remember that, Ian? Top of the Premier League. Do you remember? Andy will remember that.
I remember that.
Yeah, it's still my screensaver, my wallpaper. I'll never forget that. Between that and when we played Man United in the FA Cup, and it was the first VAR game shown, and the offside lines are 20-yard bent left and right, which I still have a photo of. If everyone wants it, I'll send it to them. They're my 2 highlights of being a Town fan.
I think momentum counts for a lot. I think psychology counts for a lot. And when you get into that winning habit, it's very hard to get out of it. Just the same as it is the converse for what we've been in the last few seasons in the losing habit. And I think it depends what's going to happen in January, because are they going to spend money? Are they going to have a go if they're still up there come January? I don't know if they've got any more to spend but I think they'll be up there still. I think they'll be up there. I'm not saying they'll be second, but I think they'll be in the playoffs, definitely. Because I think at home, I can't see many people beating them at home, to be honest. So I think the squad isn't amazing, but it's a squad full of real professionals, experience, with a bit of nous that will be able to grind out results more often than not. So I think come the end of the season they'll be in the playoffs. It wouldn't surprise me. Andy's left us, I think. I think that's everything from Wrexham. I think I saw 1 or 2 people moaning, saying, they're a side that's been promoted from League Two. We should really be beat. But I think you've got to be fair and look at it in the context of this season. And, they've won every game at home this season. The second, with all the momentum behind them, I think if you look at it in that context, I think it was a very resolute performance from us, and I was really pleased with the point. I think I said before I'd have been happy with a Bristol win and a point at Wrexham, and that's what we got. So yeah, I'm happy for once. Nice. So altogether, town meeting. Killer, you can talk a little bit about this. We had the ATT meeting, and there were a few issues that come up. I don't know how much you can say, but I'll put it on to you.
Cheers. Nice one. Cheers, Nick.
No, don't mention it, mate. Don't mention. Well, that's what I'm here for. Is to just palm off all the difficult shit onto everyone else.
If it's controversial, bounce it to Killer. Let's do that.
Nice one. Cheers, guys. No. So there was ATT meeting now. They have them quarterly, and it was on a Saturday morning this time. And with Kevin Nagel and Mr. Dave Carmichael, I think a few people expected them to be there, and they weren't. Dave Throff-Sykes was there answering all the questions, and they're always really positive events. The meeting notes, minutes haven't been signed off yet. Everyone has a quick look at them because obviously some of the information is quite delicate. So it has to be double checked, triple checked before it's released properly. But the stadium was talked about quite a bit. The new fan zone again. I don't know how much I can and can't say for a few different reasons.
Well, I'll tell you what. You stop talking, and I can talk about the stuff I've seen that other people have posted.
Oh yeah, that's a good way. Then I can just say yes or no.
And that's what I mean.
Guys, that's a good idea.
You represent HTSA. I think it's really unfair.
As long as you don't start this by saying, "Well, Killer said," and then you start saying,
"No." I can say hand on heart, what I've seen wasn't written by you. How much I can. That is true. Is that true or true? So there you go. So what I've seen hasn't been written by you, and I think the issue was that most of the fans groups had revved themselves up for a big discussion about the ground on the basis of the rumours that had been leaking before the meeting, which were quickly shut down by DTS on pretty much the first question, and that then wiped out probably 80% of whatever it was people wanted to talk about because they wanted to know about the ground, what the plans were, who was going to own what, how are you going to make money, who's going to own it, where will the shares, all of that stuff that people were ready to ask questions about. Once he went, it's no deal, kids, so we've not to talk about. I think he took, from what I can see, from the feedback I got, was that probably took a bit of the wind out of the sails of the vast majority of the content. Is that probably fair? You can't, don't say it's up to you, say what you want, but I think there was discussion again about Kev's money in the club. How is it in the club? I think they've just repeated what they've said before, so I don't think there's any change. I don't really know why that was asked again. In fairness to Kevin and the club, it's asked and answered. I don't know if they think if they keep asking the same question, they might get a different answer. I don't really know, or they want to check it on a monthly basis. See if
I can clarify that the question was put from I can't remember if HSA put it forward in regards to is money being put in as an equity kind of thing, the way Ipswich and Birmingham have done it, I think, in League One before. Now you get in trouble when you get promoted to the Championship if you do it that way, because for financial fair play reasons they look at it differently than if it's a director loan. So the question is Kevin putting it in directly himself as an equity kind of thing where the club doesn't owe him the same way, or is it a standard direct loan that can or may not include interest potentially, which I don't believe it does, but again, none of my business for this part of it. And the questions like that. So I'm going to start with the stadium stuff. I think I'm concerned, and this is nothing to do with the ATT meeting. My issues with the stadium being taken over, it's been a loss. It creates a loss every year, and it has done for however long we've been a part of it. And now, if the council are leaving and giving it all to town, the town take on all those debts. So this stadium, in the last accounts, KDSL, KSDL put out for this previous financial year, which included the Muse concert, I think made a loss of £1 million. And I think that's what it is on the accounts. Again, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's what it said. Town at the moment at 40% are liable, I guess, for 40% of the losses. That's the risk that town involve, and the other 60% is split between the Giants and the council. And now I know it doesn't work entirely like that because town are the shareholder with the most income and I guess revenue and abilities to pay things. If town take on 100% of the stadium, are they taking 100% of the losses? There's questions like that matters. And how does town expect to be able to make more money from the stadium to make it into an asset? Where does town expect to financially benefit? And okay, it might not be just financial. It means you can make your stadium look better if you're in control of it. And to be honest, the stadium has never looked better. It looks fantastic. It really, really does. But there's so many questions that I think people want to put to the club, because we've been in this situation before when the stadium was used as a pawn when it came to a previous owner, and nobody wants to see that again. We were all there with our yellow T-shirts saying bought for £2. And is the stadium share going to go into a trust, as was suggested previously by Dean Hoyle? There's so many questions still left to be answered. I understand, and I think most Town fans accept, that it's impossible to get an answer just yet while these negotiations are going on between Town, the council, and the Giants. I guess it is very delicate, but surely the time will come when these questions can be asked and can be answered properly. As of yet, I'm not aware that they have been. Maybe they have. I don't think they have, but I do think the questions are genuine and are fair to ask. I don't think they're unfair to ask.
No, the investment shares or equity has been asked and answered, and there's pros and cons either way. So, people are saying, well, he could take his money back at any time. Well, equity is no better position to be in if Kevin decides he's had enough. So, that the stadium one for me really, and we talked about this before, didn't we? I think when we were thinking about asking questions for the ATT meeting was I'm with you. How is that going to work? The rumours are the council are going to write the debt off. So KDSL is making losses, but there's no capital being pumped in. It's just operating at a loss. And all that loss must be sat on the council's balance sheet. I don't really understand where that's been. But the one that blew me away was that I've seen quoted, we made 60 grand out of the Muse concert. We should have made 60 grand out of fucking car parking. How have we only made 60 grand out of hosting that concert?
Now, on that, guys, I am under the belief that before this was put to Dean Hoyle, and the reason why through Dean Hoyle's tenure we didn't do as many concerts, it's quite difficult to make money for some reason when it comes to having concerts at the town ground because of the costs involved in getting it ready, and that's why we went for quite a long period where we didn't have any. That was his belief, but it was 65 grand. I think he said in the accounts that the Muse concert made, which is quite surprising because I went and it were rammed. There were people everywhere. It was very expensive for a beer. They were selling them in 2 pints for like 12 quid. So I had obviously one of them. I was too drunk to get a second one. But there were a lot of people there. I expected to only make 65 grand from that was quite surprising. And another reason why I think it's important to understand, I understand the strategic advantages not explaining exactly how you expect to make the money back. I get that. But it's a risk Town are taking, in my opinion. It's a risk if you're taking on something like that. And it will be interesting to see how they go about it. But obviously we've announced the Stereophonics are playing, I think, next year. So they've obviously got plans there. And maybe they'll do better when they're in control of it.
I think it's however many varsity jackets we can sell. Them things that the players are.
You wouldn't need to sell many, would you? You only sell 10 of them. Yeah. We're all right.
So yeah, I mean they look smart. I can't see myself as a 59-year-old fat man wearing one, but each to their own. I'm sure you guys could pull one off. I think it's pretty simple to me. What it appears that how they're going to that £1 million loss or wherever it's going to be that the stadium is not going to be used more, and the people that use it will pay more to go there, and hopefully will buy more things when they're there. And so, like they've done this. I saw something online about about 4,000 season ticket holders who, for whatever reason, don't attend every single game. Understandably, people buy from all over the world to support the club, and the club massively values that. But if I go as a season ticket holder, I might spend a little bit of money. If you don't go, you don't spend, do you? So they're looking to churn as much as they possibly can. So I think season ticket prices will go up. I think that's inevitable. I think there'll be more incentive for us to actually use the place more often, and that there's a huge range of way improved, I think, items that you could buy if you're a Town fan. I think they're pretty expensive, but they're in terms of what we used to be able to buy, I think there's a much bigger range, and I think that's going to be part of it as well. So it's going to be run more as a business. I didn't know the stuff about 65 grand from a Muse concert, but I'm absolutely certain that nobody's gone there and gone, oh, we'll put the bare amount of minimum effort into running this concert and making money out of it. There must be a real good reason. I would think that they've only made 65 grand out of it, and it won't be for want of effort. And maybe what you said about Dean Hoyle not wanting to host the concerts because the return wasn't that great. Maybe that makes sense to me now.
The season ticket thing, by the way, we've talked about this before, and my son lives in Ipswich, doesn't go to every game. Ian, you manage, you can't go to every game. But the club actively, through the T's and C's that we sign up to when we buy a season ticket, discourage us from allowing somebody else to use that seat. If they find out I let somebody else go and sit in Connor's seat, they can take my season ticket off me, and I won't get a refund. So the club can do something about that. They need to set up an exchange. I'm not here next weekend. I'm away on holiday. I would quite happily donate my tickets to two people who can't afford to go through an exchange and allow them to sit in my seat. And they might buy a coffee, they might buy a program, but the club won't let me. So it's all right moaning about 4,000 people, but what do they do about giving mobility to those tickets, Andy? They do know. Yeah. So they really need to think about that, because that isn't going to go away. And even putting the prices up £100 next year, Connor will still have a season ticket. Whether he comes to every game or not will be a matter for him, whether he can get here. But that's the thing that irritates me. The answer isn't to encourage people who've bought a ticket. The answer is to fill the seats. If there's people that want to sit in them seats, then let's get people in them seats. The club's nowhere. So the club's view is, yes, but if you let somebody sit in your seat, I haven't charged them £35 on the door. We haven't, because these people don't pay £35 on the door. They don't come either. So, we've talked about this before, and I do think it wouldn't be too difficult, not beyond the wit of man, for the club to do that. And I know you're a pretty generous, and I can imagine you'd want to, like I want to do it. I can imagine you'd want to do it, Andy, and I know Ian certainly would want to do it. The club need to facilitate this. So instead of moaning about us not turning up, we'll help us get somebody else through the door to sit in my seat then, and they'll spend some money with you.
It does tell you what the club's plan is, and that is to increase matchday revenues by getting more money effectively out of people. More money. I don't know what's going on there. I think we're a bit iffy on the stream, but I think the club's plan is to get more money out of people as matchday revenues, like per person that attends, and that's why those 4,000 people not turning up, not spending money at the game is so important to them. The only thing I would be careful of, it'd be interesting also to know the percentages across the league. I imagine this isn't just a town problem. I imagine this is a common thing across the football league. And of course, you're going to have season ticket holders that don't attend. And whilst 4,000 sounds a lot, yeah, it is. But when Stevenage only get 4,500 on Tuesday night, if they've got 1,000 people not turning up, it's far more damaging to them than it is if it's 4,000 with us. So it's got to be relative to how many season ticket holders you have. But the other issue is, if we sell season tickets on an average price of $250, and I know it's not because you've got kids involved, and I imagine a lot of the people not turning up are children, cheaper season tickets. And I guess there'll be a correlation between price of season tickets and how often they go there, because you don't feel you've got to take them so much if it's only £80, £100 or whatever for a season ticket for a child. But then if you roll into it, the times that people do go and how much they do spend when they do go, I reckon £250 per seat's probably about right, times 4,000, £1 million. So you can complain about them not going, but we're still £1 million better off that they're actually paying to go, because we haven't sold out season tickets. It's not like there's no other seats available. You need to get them there, absolutely, but it's still beneficial to them having it, even if they don't attend. So you just got to be a little bit careful about how you word it. And I take that personally, because obviously I'm one of them. I've got a season ticket this year. I've not been to a game yet, bar the Barnsley League Cup game, Mickey Mouse Trophy game, where I watched the first 60 minutes. But that's because I coach my own team on a Saturday, and I'm next up to be town's caretaker manager, probably, having gone through 58,000 managers in the football league as it is. So I'm trying hard to help out in my own way, but I'm a season ticket holder because I want the club to do better. I want to show that I still support them, and that next year, if I can go a bit more often after I've been sacked, that I can get it on a cheaper rate, because you get your retention when you get it after you've had it the year before, like keeping my seat next to Gaz, even though I've never been there. But it's important to keep people interested. If you start, you can't penalise people for not going, but other clubs do, don't they? I think there are an issue that if you don't go to the games, then you have a lower ranking when it comes to getting away tickets. And now I think people are seeing tickets to buy away tickets as well. It's another reason. You have to just be careful. But I'm one of those people. So sorry, boy. Sorry, town. I apologise. Whilst I won't be there this week because we're in a cup game, the next few games, once it gets a bit windy and wet, Grange Moor games will be called off all the time. And I'll be there every time I can be, because if I can do anything to stay away from my own kids, I will be there in a heartbeat. No problem. Let me just rest assured. It's nothing to do with town. It's myself. It's me, not you. And I'm sorry.
Mine have started coming with us now, so I can't escape them at town either. So everywhere. I like it, Gaz, that you said, "Oh, Andy, you'd exchange and Killer you," but you neglected to mention me, mate. That's I like the faith you've got in me there.
I know for a fact you share jack shit.
Of course I would, mate. Of course I would. I'm similar. I can't get to every game, but I've got young kids. I've got other commitments. I try and get to as many as I can. Otherwise, it's another empty chair situation. And I just say it makes no logical sense to me why the club won't allow you to exchange a ticket. You bought that ticket. They've already made money off the ticket. exchange it, get more people down to the ground, buying merchandise, buying refreshments, and pumping more money into the club. It makes and generate a better atmosphere. So I don't, for the life of me, can't understand it.
Well, the concern is we're selling our ticket to somebody who would pay on the gate. That's their concern. I don't know. I mean, I just don't know how practice does it. As you say, we're not sold out, are we? So
they wouldn't be coming, mate. If they wanted to come, they'd have already had a ticket going, wouldn't they? Yeah. It don't make any sense. Don't make, it's like you said, we're not packed out, are we? But I think the whole thing needs to be like the stadium. I know it's a plan to do more concerts. I know Kev said to make it, community asset. Get more concerts, get more people down there, and that's great. He's an astute businessman. He knows what he's doing, and there's got to be a certain element of trust there that his team have poured over the facts and figures, and they can make it work somehow. But I think on a match day, there's so much more we can do.
Hey, Dick, I want to jump in here. Dick, I want to jump in here, just if anyone is still listening, right? So Town opened the fan zone, didn't they, at 12 o'clock? Do you remember they did that for a few? I don't know if we still do it now, but the outdoor fan area, and they were trying to entice people down. Honestly, Town, put a game on before the Town game. Either Town women, although I think there's FA regulations saying you can't. Is there any way we can have a game on at the stadium at 1 o'clock as a kickoff? So there's a reason to go down earlier, to get people into the stadium. I once went down last time I went down early, I went down at 2:15 for a game. And they were empty, there were nothing on. There were no entertainment on. We know the speaker issues that we've got. They can't sort that out just yet because it's a legacy system. They need to reinvest quite a lot to make the audio sound better. Put a game, any game you can. It used to be great. Like when they used to put kids' games on at half time, it was 7 versus 7. It was just entertaining. You could watch it and see what was going. Do something before the game at 1 o'clock. A local league game. If you had My Boys Grange Moor versus Shepley playing at 1 o'clock, people would go down early to watch it. It gives you a reason to go down. And now I don't know the regulations are, like I said, but I'm sure these things you can do on field. Dizzy penalty is fantastic. I love that at half time. We need to have that. Absolutely. Keep Dizzy penalty. But something beforehand to get people into the stadium, to give them a reason. If you're trying to increase matchday revenue, get something on that field before they kick off. So there's a reason to go down and watch it, because they're in otherwise, and you just go in and there's nothing happening.
I thought Huddersfield Town women, you could have them playing, but I don't know, obviously, with their leagues. But, to sort of marry it up, if you could maybe look to try and do that, that'd be ideal, wouldn't it? Because you'd have that game before, and it's not going to make any difference to anything. It's something for people to come and watch, get them in, get them buying more food and drink, and you've got to make it a day's experience, exactly like they do in America. They've got stuff going on all day. I saw something for Fulham recently saying if you go down at 12 o'clock, it's like £2 a pint or something like that, and clubs all up and down the country are having initiatives to get fans down there early. So why aren't we? I said it before, the last pod as well, not just pre-game, but after the game killer, that we've got the food carts and everything outside. And then when the game's finished, it's like, bang, music off, right? Everyone pour out. There's nothing to keep them in the stadium. So everyone goes out. It's tea time. We're all hungry. So where's the food carts gone? They've all gone. So there's nothing there to keep anyone down the ground. Now, if there were carts and food stuff outside after game as well, you'd sell even more stuff because it's tea time when people's hungry. And I know there's plans for a sports bar and what have you, but that's what you need, things like that to generate the revenue required, and we don't have any of that at the moment. There's so many things we could do to provide more entertainment, but I know he'd mentioned a jumbotron and other stuff. Like we need to have more of these things in the pipeline. But yeah, for me, I would have the women's game on pre-men's game, because then they're getting more fans in. It's raising their profile. We've got something to watch. It helps everybody. But maybe that's just me. I don't know.
I can't imagine Matty Pearson knocking on the dressing room door, waiting for the ladies to finish changing. Come on. I just logistically, I can't see that happening, really, to be honest. But I don't know if you've seen anything that I think it's the LA Clippers. Not that I'm a particular basketball person, but I think the LA Clippers have opened a £2 billion stadium with this massive curved screen that will show the game, and you'll be able to see the stats of the players as the players are playing. Can you imagine that at Town? That would be amazing.
Come on, Kev, get your hand in your pocket, mate. That's what we need.
Could you imagine Ian watching a game with live stats? He definitely would be knocking one out.
Oh, it will be Jumbotron. Just Jumbotron. Just say Jumbotron. I just want a Jumbotron. I don't care what's on it.
But all this stuff. I think when I was in Nashville last year, I think I sent you guys a thing. I went to watch the Predators ice hockey at the Bridgestone Arena, and did loads of little things like on the back of the seat in front. There was a little QR code. You scan the QR code, you could vote for player of the match on there. You could get the stats. You could get live stuff, all interactive while the game's going on.
Yeah.
You know, we haven't got fucking 3G in the stadium. You can't even get a mobile phone signal in our ground. We're so far away from some of this stuff. It's untrue.
Yeah,
Kevin sorts it.
Let's hope so, because it can be. It's got potential, and they'll respond to it if there's a reason for people to go. I always say, you know, if the product's worth paying for, people will pay it, and if you make it more of a day's event, people will go.
And we're also getting it really cheap. Really, sorry, Nick. I looked at just having a little look at Tamworth's season. Tamworth's season tickets are £100 a person more than ours are, and I bet that's the truth for lots and lots of clubs across all the divisions. You know, we are getting it really good cheap rate, and it wouldn't surprise me to see it like £100 per ticket uplift for next season to start to contribute to claw some of this back. It's the simplest way. Would I still pay it? I'm paying for 3 now in this house. Yeah, because it's my club, it's my team. I want to do the bit that I can to support it. You know, I'd like sponsoring him and what have you. You want the best for your club, but not everybody can afford that, can they? So I'm very lucky to be able to do so. But yeah, we've got to look at different options, and I love the idea of being able to just get us into the 21st century with some of the simple technology we could get in the ground. But it's taking, like, I went to get a drink in the cowshed. I'm stupidly with my missus. I waited till the half-time whistle had gone. Not a chance of getting a drink and getting back into my seat before the game kicked off. Second half, but those are the issues that I'm hoping that will be sorted. But we just need to get a bit sharper with everything that we've got down there for me.
And it ain't going to happen overnight, is it? You know, we've got to understand that we're only at the beginning of the journey, aren't we? And it's going to take time. Although I love the stadium, it's not the most practical. You know, inside under the sea. I mean, it's like the main stand back the riverside's like a rabbit warren in there. It's really narrow corridors, and it's just not set up for practicality at all. Whoever designed it. So although it looks good, it's not practical. So there's a lot of challenges. And we've just got to trust in them to get it right. But I think the fans will respond if there's more things going on. I think more people will be interested. So we'll see. Watch this space. But finally, guys, I think let's go on to Exeter. So potentially tough game. We're at home. We're going to be expected to win. But we know it's not as easy as that, is it? Ideally, we need to try and get the 3 points here, don't we? That could potentially see us fourth. Third or fourth, we could maybe be just 2 or 3 points off second. And at this stage of the season, after that run we went on, you know, that wouldn't be bad at all, would it?
Yeah, but it means no, really, at this point in the season. For me, tables, I mean, they'll say they don't pay it. There's so many clubs within a congested area. Like last night, Barnsley were losing to Charlton in the 95th minute, and we're all cackling away in our house. About 3 miles away from Jokwell Stadium, they're going to lose, and then they equalised. And that was Charlton and Barnsley almost swapped position, and Barnsley are still there and thereabouts a little bit. But I think Charlton dropped to something like 12th from being 5th. So it's that congested at the minute that, you know, I think normally I said pay no attention to a table after 10 games, and when it's gone past that now, I think it might be that 20 games we might have an idea as to what the league might look like, because there's so many teams, as we've already said, Killer said, capable of beating each other. That it's about putting that run together. If you can put, you know, 3 or 4 wins together, that'll make a big difference. But yeah, I'm not too worried about where we are at the minute. We'll see where we go. Hopefully that's just come up as a 2-0 win from Stephen Shepherd. Get up for that. We'll see how we go.
It is ridiculously tight. I mean, we've lost 5 games already, and we're still 5th. And that shows you how ridiculously tight it's. I'm just looking at the table now. So we're in 5th on 19 points. Rotherham in 17th are on 14 points. So 5 points basically separate 17th to 5th. And between 16 points and us on 90 points, Bristol Rovers in 15th. So 10 places are separated by 3 points. But Exeter lost the last game. They lost last time out to Reading. And we saw Reading and no mugs. But they won the 3 games prior to that, but it was one at home to Cambridge, who obviously a stone cold bottom, one away to Leyton Orient, and then 1-2 draw one, excuse me, and then drew 0-0 at Wigan. No, they didn't. I'm talking on my ass. They beat Exeter, they beat Shrewsbury 2-0, Cambridge 1-0, and Leyton Orient 1-0. So, they've not exactly set the world alight, and those weren't 3 of the toughest pieces of opposition, were they? So I don't think anything but a win, I'm going to be really disappointed.
Yeah, Exeter's, like I say, guys, they've beat Bolton, I think, as well. I think they beat Rotherham first game of the season. Is that where? Yeah, they beat. So the fixtures have been pretty kind. They've had either dross. No, there's not too much dross in this division, but they've beaten dross, or they've played people at the right time. Bolton early doors, they were awful, and they're getting a little bit better now. Not entirely solved the problems, but they started the season well, and everyone looked at Exeter thinking, "Oh, look at they're flying." But I think it wasn't a true reflection of where they are as a team. I'll be doing a driving podcast on Takes That Chance about it all, so I can't go too much into it just yet because I'm not double dipping and going over the same content. But if we don't beat Exeter on Saturday comfortably, to me, especially now we're further down the track of the season. I know Northampton, you can say, well, we'll shout against them. We're a bit further on now. The way we play football seems a bit more progressive. We seem to have settled into Duff's system. Exeter are a team, if you want to be in the top 2 or challenging for the top 2, 3, 4 positions, you've got to put a good performance in against them at home. We have to win on Saturday. We have to put a solid enough performance in and hopefully take the 3 points. But they are a team that, again, like Bristol Rovers, really, if you have any intention of being there when it matters, you have to win these kind of games. And now you're going to slip up every now and again. But like you say, guys, we've lost 5 times already. We're lucky that this year is so close when it comes to those teams in the middle divisions, because in other seasons we've been mid-table chasing already, trying to catch people up, but we're not this year because it's so tight and so congested even. I have us down to win though. I think we'll comfortably win. I think we've got it together, and I think teams are going to suddenly start coming to players with less belief after Stevenage kind of nearly did us, and even Shrewsbury to a certain extent. They worked out our weakness. Everyone else kind of thought, right, they've got a weakness, we can go at it. Duff's patched that hole up. We're not like that anymore. There's no easy way to beat us. It changes the dynamics of teams, and I think teams are going to sit back a little bit more and respect us probably too much. It'll start on Saturday with Exeter, and I think we'll run out comfortable winners with a 2-0 victory. It's not going to be the win you want, Andy. I'm not going to give you a 5-0, a 4-5-0. I can't go there. But
I'm with you, Kill. I think 2-0 is more than sensible. And then you look at the next 2 games. We've got Crawley away, who are right down there, and then Wickham, who are 4th. So, there's every chance. If we frame ourselves, there's every chance we can take 9 out of the next 3. And there's no reason why we can't. We've got all the ones we need to worry about for the time being out of the way. We've got a real run to Christmas now where we really need to string some wins together. Because, as you said, if we win 3 or 4 games in this league, suddenly you're knocking on top 2 again. Birmingham are now going to continue to canter away. We know that. But the rest is to be played for.
Yeah. Just in case Carmichael Davies still watching, frame ourselves as a Yorkshire phrase that means we pull ourselves together and we play really well. It's not putting ourselves in a frame. We've had some issues with understanding Yorkshire English phrases.
He looked very nice in his suit. Actually, he looked very smart in his suit on his photograph.
Yeah. Repping as well. Yeah. I've just looked at the odds, actually. We are odds on to win on Saturday. And the draw and Exeter are like nearly 3-1 for the draw, 4-1 for Exeter to win. And we're odds on. So the bookies think that we are
4-1 in the horse race.
Fucking 3-0 Exeter then. I think we've got to win, haven't we? Of course we have. We've got to win.
Yeah.
Pat Jones, will he actually get on the bench? Will he get? He hasn't played a game, has he, since he went, Pat Jones? So maybe it'll be the return of the nemesis.
His hamstring's gone again, isn't it? He's injured, isn't
I don't know if he's injured. I know he certainly hasn't made the team sheet, from what I understand. So, yeah.
I think we've got a really good run, like you say. Wickham away is tough. They've started really well. Away from home, it's not easy. But other than that, Charlton at home, Charlton's hot and cold, really. Could easily win them. Leyton Orient away, not started well at all. So, yeah, I think this is a chance maybe to get on a bit of a run. And we've got to take the game to them early. We've got to come out strong. We've got to try and get an early goal, maybe settle a few nerves and try and kick on. Maybe it's like similar to Bristol Rovers, maybe get a couple of quick goals, try and go 2-0 up before half time and make it a little bit easier. I don't know, but I think we will win. I think we'll concede, but I think we'll win 2-1.
I think the good thing about going on a run is momentum, and it's likely, I think, that the Wycombe game will be moved because it's international weekend, isn't it? So I'm off to Scotland to watch Wraith Rovers, God bless them. And you just don't start to get that feeling of Saturday, Tuesday, Saturday. It's just another 10-day, 12-day gap between them playing again. So I think that's not gonna help us. Message in chat: John's hamstring snapped again, out for months. Oh, how unsurprising that is. Bless him.
Oh, he's so unlucky.
Yeah, you're really unlucky.
So yeah, I think it's all positive, guys, isn't it? From where we were a few weeks ago. What are you smiling for, Killer? It's positive. It's all positive.
You've been so negative.
Every ball's been negative.
Yeah, you have. You've been whinging. You've been typical Yorkshire blokes. Maybe it's like I say, because I were away for so long, I don't have as much that negative twitch that you've all got. That it's
such a sunny disposition.
But that. Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe it's
pragmatic. That's what we are.
So it's nice that you've all come round now, and we're ending on a positive note. I like to see all three of you's growth in that now we're all positive and happy clapping our way to Exeter on Saturday. We're going to have a wonderful, wonderful controlled 2-0 victory, and we'll be sat here next week when we're maybe third, fourth, and looking up again.
Marvelous.
Mate, I said we're exactly where I said we'd be, which is fifth. Where did you predict us start season? Mr. Positive.
Yeah, I've changed. Isn't it nice that somebody can change? I've changed and I've improved myself and accepted having watched Town week in and week out.
He's never been the same since he said that Carlos season was 9 out of 10 in first 6 months. Ever since then, he's flipped and flopped.
Hey guys, what happened throughout that season? Just tell everybody what.
I don't care. It wasn't a 9 out of 10 season.
Where did we finish? Oh, we got to playoff final and got cheated.
Did we get promoted?
Cheated by Nottingham Forest. Cheated out of a playoff victory once more.
It was before. We were talking about performances, not results.
And on that, we'll call it a night, guys. Thank you very much for all your comments. Really kind of you to keep listening to us. And thank you to everyone who's subscribed to YouTube and who's listening on X. Thank you to Carmichael Day for being a good sport and listening to us bash you through the episode. But it's been, onwards and upwards. It's been a good few results, and if we can get that result against Exeter, suddenly things are looking up again, aren't they? So let's hope for 3 points and let's try and get in that top 2. Take care, everyone. We'll be back after the Exeter game, hopefully. So yeah, catch you soon. Up the town.
Up the town.